بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله سبحانه وتعالى فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له نشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا وشفيعنا وكريمنا وسندنا وأولانا ومولانا وهادينا وطبيب قلوبنا وقرة عيننا محمدا عبده ورسوله أرواحنا وأرواح آبائنا وأمهاتنا فداه صلى الله تبارك وتعالى عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وأزواجه وذرياته وأهل بيته وأولاده وعترته وأصحابه وأنصاره وأصحاره وأشياعه وأتباعه وأحبابه ومحبيه وأمته وعلى كل من اتبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وعلينا معهم أجمعين أما بعد. Honorable ulama kiram, respected elders, brothers and friends, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent us into this world for a very short time and for a very great purpose. The mission of our life is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A person who recognizes Allah will worship Allah, will obey Allah, will abstain from the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and by worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and abstaining from his disobedience, the person will please Allah, and when we will please Allah, Allah will please us. When we will listen to Allah, Allah will listen to us. When we will do as Allah wants, Allah will do as we want. And so for this message, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the prophets. The galaxy of prophets, they came into this world to tell people as a compassion from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you people are going the wrong way. Your purpose of life is not this earning and this living and this partying and this doing. Your purpose of life is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all the prophets, they came and they invited towards this. They recognize your Allah, understand who your Allah is, and subjugate yourselves to Him. Now we know that when we get told to do something, even in this day and age, even as grown adults, when we get told to do something that we don't like, we get upset. When it goes against the grain, when it goes against our desires, even children have their tantrums, adults have their technical tantrums in a sly way. Yeah, they get their revenge in another way. So the people were living their lives according to their desires. The prophets came with the deen of Allah. The deen of Allah goes against one's desires. And so people didn't like to be told what to do. And so what do people do? Even in this day and age, people, then they try to trip up or harm or oppose the person who is telling them that they are in the wrong. And so people were living a life of desires, following their caprice. And the message of the prophet, or the message of all the prophets, was against that. So there were people who accepted and who subjugated themselves, but there were also people, the vast majority of people, who opposed the prophets, and they maligned the prophets, and they persecuted the prophets to the extent that they executed prophets. But the prophets, out of compassion for the people, they continued inviting, because they knew that if, as they say in Arabic, إِذَا عُرِفَ الْآمِرُ هَانَتِ الْأَوَامِرُ, when the one giving the command is recognized, then obedience of him becomes easy. When we recognize who is giving the command, when we recognize his authority, his power, like for example, a person's working in a biscuit factory. When he went for the job interview, his line manager interviewed him, he gave him the job, he's thinking that this is my boss. So whenever the line manager comes on the factory floor, this guy looks busy, starts working, right? One day, the CEO of the company decides to pay them a visit, unannounced. And he puts on the white coat, and he comes down onto the factory floor. Now this worker, he recognizes the line manager, he doesn't know the CEO from Adam. So when the CEO comes over to him, when he sees him, he carries on, not working, lazing around, because the line manager is not there. Then the CEO comes over to him and he said, pick this up. So he turns around and he said, you pick it up. He tells him to do something. He said, listen, excuse me, up your wage. Up your wage. Right? So he disrespects the CEO and he doesn't look busy and he doesn't do the job. In the meantime, the line manager comes and he sees what's going on. So he goes over to the worker, whispers in his ears. He says, mate, this is my boss. This is your boss. All of a sudden now, his whole persona changes. Yes, oh yeah, yeah. Why? Because up to now, he hadn't recognized the CEO and his authority, that he can get rid of me, he can fire me. So he disobeyed. But as soon as he recognized him, then it was easy for him to. And Molana gave another example. It's a nice hot summer afternoon. You've prayed your Zohar namaz, you've had your dar chawal, and you're planning to have a nice long siesta, nap. So you lay down, and there's a kid outside because your window's open. A little boy, 4 or 5 year old, he's found a biscuit tin and a stick, and he's discovered drumming. So now he's drumming away. He's making a racket. So now you're just dozing off and it starts. So you climb up, look out the window, you see this little kid, and you shout out to him, hey, go away, let me sleep. Then you get back in bed, but he continues. Now you go outside and you tell him, you warn him, you threaten him. You come back inside, he carries on again. Now you come back again and you say to him, listen, if you don't stop, I'm going to call the police. But he doesn't, when you threatened him, he doesn't recognize you. When you threaten him with the police, a 5-year-old kid, he doesn't recognize the authority and the power of the police. So he carries on. So now when you go out for the 3rd time, you say to him, listen, if you don't stop, I'm going to tell your mom. As soon as you say that, he drops the thing and he runs off. Why? Because he didn't recognize your authority and your power. He didn't recognize the police's power and authority, but he knows what his mom can do, especially back in the days. He knows his mom slap. In this day and age, maybe his mom's, she'll take the tablet off him. She'll maybe ground him. So he understands the authority of the mother, so he desisted, even though the authority of the police is higher than that. So when we will recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then for us to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and desist from His disobedience will become easy. Today the whole problem with us is that we have not recognized Allah, and Allah ta'ala complains, وَمَا قَدَرُ اللَّهَ حَقَّ قَدْرِهِ. You have not recognized me for what I am, for who I am. Had you done that, then there would be no problem. And so the whole effort of the Anbiya Kiram was to make people recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's what the prophets came for. And they invited people and they talked to them about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That understand who your Allah is, how magnificent, how glorious, how powerful your Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. That your Allah ta'ala, I heard from one elder, a beautiful thing. Sounds better in Urdu, but I'll still translate it. He said, Allah wo zaat hai, कि अगर इज्जत देने पे आए तो बाप से जुदा करवा के, कपड़े उतरवा के, कुएं में दलवा के, बाजार में गुलाम की तरह फरोख्त करवा के, बादशाह के महल में गुलाम बनवा के, कैद खाने में पहुंचा के, हुकूमत की कुर्सी पे पहुंचा के इज्जत दे सकता है. मसूद भाई, अल्लाहु अकबर. If Allah Ta'ala wants to honor a person, look how He does it. Yusuf alayhi salam's story separates him from his dad, gets him stripped down naked, thrown into a well, sold as a slave, made into a servant, thrown into a prison, false accusations thrown against him, 9 years in prison. Allah takes him out from there, puts him onto the throne and gives him honor. Allah Ta'ala अगर तरबियत करने पे आए तो लक व दक मैदान में अल्लाह ताला जहाँ पे ज़िंदगी की कोई असबाब नहीं है, अल्लाह ताला परवरिश करके दिखा सकता है. If Allah Ta'ala wants to nurture someone, Ibrahim alayhi salam left his toddler and his wife in the wilderness where there was no water, no shops, no vegetation, nothing, where they were surrounded by death. And Allah Ta'ala not only nurtured them, But till today, Allah Ta'ala is nurturing people, nurturing us. Zamzam water is still coming and will keep on coming till the day of judgment. This is who our Allah Ta'ala is. He is able to do all things. Al-awwal wal-akhir wal-zahir wal-batin. Al-awwal bila ibtida wal-akhir bila intiha. Al-awwal laysa qablahu shay wal-akhir laysa ba'dahu shay. Al-zahir laysa fawqahu shay wal-batin laysa dunahu shay. Allah is the Alpha, Allah is the Omega, Allah is the first, Allah is the last. Allah is the first without a beginning, and Allah is the last without an ending. Allah is the first before whom there is no one, and Allah is the last after whom there is no one. Ulama-i-kiram, they say that there is an evident meaning to this, which everyone knows. Kuch na tha to khuda tha, kuch na hoga to khuda hoga. When there was nothing, there was no Jibreel alayhi salam, Mikael alayhi salam, there was nothing, there was still Allah. And when there will be nothing, when Qiyamah will come, and then Allah Ta'ala will tell even angel of death, who's left? He said, Allah, there's me and you. Die. Malakul Maut will die. Then there will be nothing but Allah. That's one apparent meaning. Another meaning, ulama-i-kiram, they say, that in your personal life, when there was no one for you, there was still Allah for you. So many young married couples expecting their first baby, dead excited, they go for the second scan. The doctors, sometimes it happens, the doctors come back, they take ages doing the scan, and they're getting all anxious, and then afterwards take them into another room and say, your baby is not growing properly. Your baby's got an abnormality. Your baby's got water on the brain. We think we need to abort this pregnancy. If the child's born, is going to be disabled. It's not going to live. Right? So now, there's no one for that child. Doctors have said we can't do anything. The mother wishes she could reach inside and cure the baby. There's nothing. When there was no one for you, there was still Allah for you. When there will be no one for you, a person terminally ill, doctors have said there's nothing, no medicine. وَإِذَا الْمَنِيَّةٌ شَبَتْ أَذْفَارَهَا أَلْفَيْتَ كُلَّ تَمِيمَةٍ لَا تَنْفَعُ. There's no medicine that can cure you. There's no doctor, no consultant, no specialist that can help you now. There's no one. The mother is crying, saying, oh Allah, I've lived my life. Take my life, spare my son. He's 25 years old, he's in his prime. But there's nothing that anyone can do for you, either out of treachery. Sometimes it happens, people abandon a person out of treachery. Sometimes people abandon a person out of inability. Like in this case, the mother, the doctors, they can't do anything. They're unable. So even in that situation, when there's no one for you, there is still Allah for you. When there was no one for you, there was still Allah for you. لا شريك له ولا وزير له ولا نزير له ولا شبيه له لا ضد له ولا ند له ولا مثل له ولا مثال له الآن كما كان ولم يلق زوالا. Allahu Akbar. Allah Ta'ala has no associate, Allah Ta'ala has no partner, Allah needs no advisor, Allah needs no minister, Allah Ta'ala needs no help, Allah Ta'ala has no deputy, Allah Ta'ala has no heir. حي قبل كل حي حي بعد كل حي حي لا يشبه حي حي ليس كمثله شيء. Eternal, unique, supreme, sublime, magnanimous, magnificent, glorious, marvelous, eternal, honorable. لا يصفه وصف واصف ولا يحيط به علم عارف لا تدرك الأبصار وهو يدرك الأبصار وهو اللطيف الخبير. Allah Ta'ala is compassionate and kind, majestic, manifest, loving, cherishing, giving, doting, affectionate, generous, giver of all things. وَأَنَّهُ هُوَ أَضْحَكَ وَأَبْكَى. Allah Ta'ala is the one who makes us laugh, He is the one who makes us cry. Contentment comes from Allah, anxiety comes from Allah. وَأَنَّهُ هُوَ أَمَاتَ وَأَحْيَا. Life in the hands of Allah, death in the hands of Allah. Success in the hands of Allah, failure in the hands of Allah. Benefit in the hands of Allah, harm in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala is the one, وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ فَهُوَ يَشْفِينِ. Illness only comes from Allah. You know, doctors sitting here and the rest of you will know. What do they call it? The placebo effect. Fascinating. In the 21st century, when the world has gone beyond anyone's expectation, one chacha said to me, "Wasa, मेरी जिंदगी में जितनी दुनिया बदली है ना, शायद ही कभी इतनी बदली हो." He said, in my life, I'm 70 years old, the world is completely revolutionized. He said, it's changed so much. I don't think it's ever changed so much in a person's lifetime. We're going at full speed, full throttle. Changed so much advancement. And yet, The placebo effect still exists. And doctors, no disrespect, are still banging their heads against the wall trying to figure it out. What is a placebo effect? How does it work? That two people are in the same hospital, same ward, next to each other, exact same illness, exact same stage of the illness. And they give one guy the proper medicine, and the other guy is being given dummy pills, which look like the real deal. But they've got no efficacious value whatsoever. And that person, the other patient, is being given the real medicine. So common sense, not just common sense, science sense, all your knowledge, everything says the guy who's being given the medicine is going to walk out, he's going to get cured. Or even if he doesn't get cured, right, that guy is definitely not going to get cured. If this guy is going to die, that guy doesn't stand a chance, right? But the dummy pill looks like the real deal, looks like the real tablets. So the nurses come and they give this guy the tablets, the real thing, makes sure that he takes them. And next man, he thinks he's getting the same tablets, but he's being given sweet pills. Nothing. Allahu Akbar. And they still can't figure out how it was that the guy who's being given the proper dosage of the proper illness, he dies. And the guy who is being given, the dummy who's being given the dummy pills, walks out completely cured. Allahu Akbar. They said, what is that? There's papers written on it. Big question mark. What is that? That is Allah. That is Allah. Then they said, they came up with a theory. They said, person A was a hypochondriac. The person who was being given the medicine, psychologically, he was unstable. He knew he was going to die. He's a pessimist. Yeah? And he thinks, some people hypochondriac, they're going to die, got a bit of a knee ache, yeah? So this guy, they thought it's that. So they then ran more clinical trials. And they found that even the most pessimistic of people who've been saying they're going to die for the last 60 years, yes, those guys, when they were given the dummy pill, they walked away cured. And even the people of the strongest, soundest mind, most positive, most optimistic people, when they were given the proper medicine, in some cases they died. They still don't have an answer for that. What is that? That is Allah. And in everything there's a hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The prophets came and talked about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Recognize your Allah. This is who Allah is. He's able to do everything and anything. Allah does whatever He wants, whenever He wants, wherever He wants, in whichever way He wants, for however long He wants, and with whomever He wants. Anything, anytime, anyhow, with anyone, in any which way. Allah does, Allah did, Allah will always do. The Allah who destroyed Qawm Ad because of their disobedience is in our time destroying people on individual basis, turning their lives topsy-turvy in this day and age. And Allah will do it again when Dajjal, Yajuj Majuj will come and they will disobey Allah. The Allah who destroyed Qawm Ad will destroy Yajuj Majuj as well. And Dajjal, about whom everyone loves the horror stories, Dajjal. Yeah? And we all know because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us, he's a powerful guy. He's got mesmerism, hypnosis, he's got magic. He'll go and show all these things to people. He'll split one mu'min in half and walk between the two fallen parts. Walk between them. Right? This is like proper magic, not pulling a rabbit out of the hat kind of magic. Proper, he'll split him in half. He'll walk between the two parts. Then he'll gel him back together. The person will come back to life. And the people of weak iman, they will say, you are God, and they'll worship. And the person himself who is split up, he say, you know what? Before you did that to me, I had some doubt. Now I'm convinced you're Dajjal. Because of his iman. He say, no, you're not Allah. Even that Dajjal, Allah Ta'ala will destroy him. And how will He destroy him? Allahu Akbar. Fireballs from the heavens, earthquake on the earth, angels coming down with swords. No. Isa alayhi salam, the breath, Allahu Akbar, the breath of Isa alayhi salam will make him disintegrate. Isa alayhi salam's Dame Isa, Husne Yusuf, Dame Isa, Yadhe Dadari, Ancha Khuba Hamadaran tu Tanhadari. The magical, the miraculous breath of Isa alayhi salam, he'll just blow and the Dajjal will start melting. Allah is able to do all things. And Allah has done before, Allah will do in the future, Allah is doing now, Allah can do now as well. We have to bring that yaqeen into our hearts. This is why we have this noble effort of Dawat and Tabligh. Molana used to say, there are 4 ways to make the Iman. 4 things we have to do. 1, look at the Qudrat of Allah. All around you, there are signs. All around us, there are signs of the manifestation of the Qudrat and the power and the might and the majesty and the magnificence and the brilliance and the glory and the greatness and the dexterity and the skill and the supremacy and the artistry of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One brother, he said, Allah is an artist without a paintbrush. How Allah ta'ala, ilahi ya alam hai gulzara tera. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to look at the sky a lot. When he left the house, he would look up at the sky. When he woke up for tahajjud, he would pray the long dua, look up at the sky. On many occasions. Why? Because the skies, that's Allah's garden. Just by looking at the skies, one can recognize Allah. If we look at the moon, massive moon, yes? The sun, small, yes? Looks smaller than the moon. And then we have our earth. Australia is a continent, not a country. Australia, you probably don't know, Australia is wider than the moon. Allahu Akbar. And the sun that looks so small, you can fit how many earths into the sun? 10? 10 earths. Can you imagine? 10 earths. The sun is 10 times bigger than the earth. That's massive, isn't it? No, you can't fit 10 earths into the sun. You can fill over 1,000,000 suns, 1,000,000 earths into the sun. If the earth was a golf ball and you had a massive round thing representing the sun, you'd put golf balls in, you'd run out, you have to go back to the store, get some more. Over 1,000,000 would fit into that thing. The sun is one of the khazanas, one of the treasures of fire of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَا يَعْلَمُ جُنُودَ رَبِّكَ إِلَّا هُ وَلِلَّهِ خَزَائِنُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Allah ta'ala has stores of everything. In space now they found a store of water suspended in space. When they're talking about shortage of water on earth, they found, they don't know how to tap into it yet, but they found a store of water which they say is 1,000,000,000,000 times more than the water on earth. Allahu Akbar. Allah Ta'ala has stores of everything. Allah Ta'ala has stores of mosquitoes. When Namrud opposed Allah and Ibrahim alayhi salam told him, recognize Allah, gave him the dawat, he opposed. They said, come on, bring it on. فَأْتِنَا بِمَا تَعِدُنَا إِن كُنْتَ مِنَ الصَّادِقِينَ. They used to say, if you're truthful, tell your Allah, bring it on. Come on, let's battle it out. Bring your azab. Allah ko larkara, they called out to Allah. Namrud did the same. I'll come with my army. Okay, you come with your army. I'll come with Allah. So Namrud came into the field, into a battlefield. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers behind him. Shining swords and armor. Armed to the teeth. On the other side, one Ibrahim alayhi salam. Without a sword and without a shield. And Namrud is mocking him. You're alone. Say, no. Allah Ta'ala is with me. As Musa alayhi salam said, Inna ma'ya Rabbi. Allah is with me. And so Allah Ta'ala ordered the angels. What to do with Namrud and his army? Allah Ta'ala could have sent down angels with swords. But Allah Ta'ala said, no, let me show how good I am. What do we need for Namrud and his superpower? He ruled the whole world. His army must have been so vast. Allah Ta'ala said to the angels, forget the fireballs, forget the tornadoes, forget the water and the flood. Because when Nuh alayhi salam's people disobeyed, Allah Ta'ala said, send the water. So much water came. It wasn't just Nuh alayhi salam's locality that got flooded. The whole earth got flooded. The whole earth. And Nuh alayhi salam's son climbed onto the highest mountain. Maybe that highest mountain was Mount Everest. And the water went above that. Allahu Akbar. What shortage is there with Allah? So Allah Ta'ala said, okay, for this guy, this scoundrel, mosquitoes. Mosquitoes! The smallest. But when the treasures of mosquitoes was opened up, in the tafsir, it says, it was broad daylight, the sun was shining, and the mosquitoes came, it became nighttime. The sun was clouded out, like a black blanket fallen onto them, just because of the abundance of mosquitoes. So respected brothers and elders, we talk about the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Think and contemplate, sit in solitude and think, Ya Allah, how did you make all this? How did you do all this? An artist without a paintbrush. How is Allah doing all of this? One makhluk, blade of grass. In every blade of grass, every droplet of water, in every grain of sand. You know, we go to the beach, and so we go looking for shells. Well, I do anyway, right? We look for shells, and we come back with them. Now they put sand under the microscope, right, and really zoomed in. And what they found was those sands, they're not just little squares. Those sands, sand grains, are actually little kind of shells. The same shells that I was picking up from the beach, those are in minute form in the sand, in the form of sand. Allahu Akbar. And everyone unique, different color, different shape. Who did all of that? An astronomer came around, somebody asked him, how many stars are there in the night sky? We don't see that now, unfortunately, because of light pollution. In the city, they say, you'll see in the night sky maybe 500 stars. But if you go into the darkest places on earth, where there's no lights and stuff, then you'll see, it's like somebody sprinkled glitter. Yeah? And we say, twinkle, twinkle, little star. They're not little stars. Those stars are suns. Like our sun. Our sun that can fit 1 million earths into it. They say our sun is very small compared to other suns. Allahu Akbar. So the guy, he came out about 10, 15 years ago. He wrote a paper. He said, my estimation is there are Allahu Akbar, subhanallah. There are equal number of stars in the night sky as the grains of sand on the world's beaches. And we only know Blackpool Beach. But there are many beaches on the earth. You know, when you go down Blackpool Beach or something, right? When we have to pray namaz, right? So we go down to the sea, we do our wuzu, we come back, right? And now your hand's wet, you put out the musalla, and then you put your hand on the ground, right? So now the sand sticks. The sand that's on my hand, after I brush it off, I still can't count how many grains of sand there are. And he's saying that equivalent to the grains of sand on earth are the stars in the night sky. So when he released his paper, there was great debate amongst the astronomers. And the latest report that's come out, because somebody counteracted that, and they said, no. Some people said that's too much and everything. Then one guy, he brought his evidence forward. And he came out and he said, and this is the latest thing that still stands, nobody has contested this. He said that there are 10 times more stars in the observable universe than grains of sand on the earth's beaches. Allahu Akbar. And how many beaches are there? You know, Australia, one continent, has got over 10,000 beaches. That's one continent. They say, I think 10,086 or something. They say if you lived in Australia and if you went to a different beach every day without repetition, different beach every day, life's a holiday. Every day, different beach. You could go to a different beach without repetition for 32 years. So how many beaches are there? How many grains of sand are there? And the night sky has 10 times, Allahu Akbar. The mind boggles. Aqal kaam nahi karti. And that's just one part. That's the first heaven, brothers. And the 7 heavens. Allahu Akbar. So when we will talk about the greatness of Allah, he used to say, look at the greatness of Allah. Don't just dismiss it. Don't just look at a car and think, wow. Look at the flower. Look at the birds. Look at the trees. Look at the rain. Look at the sun. Look at the beaches. Look at the scenes. And then ponder upon the greatness of Allah. Then speak about the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when somebody else is speaking, listen. And when you will do that repeatedly, Allah, 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 the yaqeen will come into your heart. And this is why we are told and we are encouraged to go out in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If a person goes out in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he's not got any distractions and he's just in the zone, and morning and evening, before Fajr he's talking to Allah. After Fajr somebody's talking to him about Allah. In Talim, he's talking about Allah. Or somebody is reading to him about Allah. After Zohar, before Asr, after Asr, before Maghrib, after Maghrib, all day long. And he keeps on repeating that again and again and again. And in solitude he's thinking, he's doing his zikr and he's contemplating the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Har ek chaman mein tu hai, har gul mein teri boo hai, galya chatak chatak ke leti hai naam tera. Oh Allah, your signature is on every petal of every flower. Oh Allah, your fragrance is in every flower. Fresh buds blossom each morning, singing your name most high. गुलिस्तान में इसलिए हर रोज गिरती है शबनम ताकि पत्ता पत्ता याद करे बावजू तुझे. The Arif, the person who recognized Allah, he said, we just look at the morning dew, yeah, the grass is wet, we think nothing of it. But this Arif, a person who recognized Allah, he said, every morning the morning dew falls, and all the stalks and all the grass and all the vegetation and all the flowers, they all get wet. So he said, the reason why the morning dew is falling is the daffodils and the tulips and all the flowers have done their wuzu. And then when the zephyr, the morning breeze blows, they all go into sajda. Even they are prostrating to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All the animals are in prostration, constant state of prostration in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even the humans who are disobeying Allah, who don't believe in Allah, they may not be bowing in front of Allah, but their shadow, they can't escape their shadow bowing in front of Allah. Allah is most high. So respected brothers and elders, when we will go in that environment without distractions and again and again and again, you can imagine, look, a person like me talking for about 40 minutes about the greatness of Allah. Every person here can attest that Alhamdulillah, my iman has gone up. Why? Because you're all mu'min. The flame of iman is inside the heart. We all feel like close to Allah right now. Imagine now if 40 minutes from someone like me can do that, to myself and to you brothers, imagine how much our iman would rise if we listen to these talks morning and evening for 3 days continuously without engaging in any dunya. Imagine how much in 10 days. Imagine how much in 40 days. Imagine how supercharged our iman would get in 4 months. Allahu Akbar. Think about the greatness of Allah. Talk about the greatness of Allah. Hear about the greatness of Allah. Look at the greatness of Allah. Then our iman will be made. Like the Sahaba Kiram, their iman was made. So I was told to finish at 1:15, so I'm going to stick to the time. So brothers, we know all these things, but it's a matter of making the effort. To go out in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to seclude ourselves in that environment, and constantly. When the work of Dawat Tabligh first started, governments were suspicious. Rightly so, they were suspicious. They said, all these people moving around, what's going on? So they send their spies. So in their books, it's still written that the spies from different countries reported back. They said, nothing to worry from these people. Why? Because they only talk about what's above the heavens and what's below the earth. They don't even know what's going on in between. Huh? One brother in Argentina, an Argentinian non-Muslim, there was an Arab brother who was a da'i. He spent 4 months, he became a da'i. We all have to become da'is, talking about Allah all the time, inviting towards Allah, inviting towards akhirat. So he was a da'i. So many people started coming to the masjid. So the government got suspicious. So they got a non-Muslim to dress up as a Muslim and to grow his beard and to go and spy on this guy and to go and sit in his gatherings and everything. So the guy came. So after a month, and he went 3 days with him as well. He took him 3 days and everything. The Arab brother, when he saw him, he thought he's a Muslim. He pounced on him and started giving him dawat and all this and taking him gashed and all this and took him 3 days and everything. After about a month or so, the guy comes and starts crying. He said, brother, I've got a confession to make. He said, what? He said, I come to spy on you. I came to spy on you. But listen, I ain't going to report anything bad back because there's nothing to report back. But what I will report to you and to them is, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. This is what a dai is. This is the beauty of our deen. So brothers, give your intention, inshallah, to go out in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Come brothers.